This is how I gained as much muscle as possible in only 3 months. But before I explain how exactly I did this, let me quickly explain why I decided to do this. So if you're new here, my name is Sean. 2 years ago, I decided to start going to the gym because I was tired of being skinny and I wanted to get jacked. So I worked out for about 9 months, I started learning about dieting, working on my recovery, sleep, all that stuff. And I was able to put on some decent muscle. I was evidently not as skinny as I was when I started, but I was not satisfied. And even though I was proud of the work I had done, I still felt like I wanted to get more jacked, I wanted to get bigger. So fast forward to the summer, I decided to go on a bulk, 3-month bulk. I made it my mission to gain as much muscle as I could in the next 3 months, no shortcuts, no BS, no loopholes. I was gonna lock in and actually get it done. In this video, I will break down exactly how I did it. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into the video. So at the start of this challenge, I weighed about 82 kilograms. My goal was to get to at least 90 kgs. That was what I had in mind. So my game plan was simple. 3 areas I was going to focus on was training, recovery and sleep, and most importantly, my diet, and with a bit of supplements as well. So let's start with the training. So before this bulk, I was following pretty much the same program I had been using when I started trying to build muscle as a skinny guy. And it was okay, it was an okay split. It helped me gain a lot of muscle. It helped me transform from skinny to slightly less skinny, but I had a lot of gaps in it, and for this challenge I needed something better. So I just designed a special workout split that was going to follow for this challenge, that was going to help me to get the most muscle as possible in the next 3 months. This program was designed around 2 main things, which is progressive overload, making sure I am hitting each main muscle group twice a week. That's something that my previous program lacked. I was only hitting each major muscle group only once. So that's one of the things I changed. And also, I won't go into complete detail of every single aspect of the split, like the exercise and how many reps, but here's a brief idea of what it actually looked like. So it was a 6-day workout week with 2 rest days. Monday I would hit chest, back and biceps. This was my first time training my chest and back at the same time, so it took me some time to get used to it. Tuesday I would hit legs, mainly a squat focused day. I'll just go in there, hella sets of squats and some isolation movements at the end. Wednesday, the day I probably enjoyed the most out of the whole split, it was shoulders, biceps and triceps. As I said, I really wanted to get bigger arms. That was one of the main focuses of this split. Thursday was a rest day. On Friday I had chest, back and biceps again. This split, I needed it to help me hit each major muscle group twice a week. Saturday I had legs again, shoulders, arms, and this was a different day because I would do more isolated movement from my legs, not squats, just palm lateral raises for my shoulders and then destroy my arms. Sunday was my other rest day, and then I'll just do this all over again the next week. I didn't change this split at all during the 3 months. If you guys want the full split, with each workout, the type of workouts I was doing, sets, all that, then DM me on Instagram and I will personally send you the workout split I used for this challenge. So on to the next part of this challenge, probably the most critical part. Since I was bulking, I needed to drastically get more calories in my diet while keeping my protein high. I needed a lot of carbs so that I had energy to actually do these workouts. Before the bulk, I was eating around 2,300 to 500 calories. My main aim for this bulk was to increase my daily diet to around 3,000 calories minimum. So that would mean adding 500 calories on top of what I was already eating. Like most skinny guys, I have a very high metabolism, so I knew it was going to be a challenge, So I started optimizing my meals into high calories, high protein, eating more portions. I used high calorie shakes. I drank a lot of my calories. Everybody knows it's easier to drink your calories than eat them, so I was having about 6 meals a day. Breakfast, then I'd have like a shake in between, then lunch I'd have my pre-workout. I wasn't having like pre-workout the supplement, I was having like actual food before my workouts. Then I'd have my post-workout and then maybe like a snack before bed. Not to mention I was eating almost any carbs I could get my hands on: donuts, yogurt, cake, pizza. I didn't care whether I would gain some fat or not. I knew I would gain some fat, but I wanted to get jacked, and this was my main aim. I needed to get as much calories in, so I didn't really care about getting fat and all this stuff. So to be honest, for the first weeks of this diet, it wasn't easy at all. I really struggled to get those 6 meals in consistently. There was a lot of trips to the toilet, but after a while I actually adapted. My body adapted, and when I saw the scale going up, when I saw I was gaining weight, I was even more motivated committed to stick to it. I didn't use these apps, these tracking apps and stuff like that. That's why I haven't like written the actual exact calories in this video. I just made sure I was eating a lot of food. I don't believe in using those apps, and you know, apparently you can take a picture now and the app tells you how many calories. I just don't believe in that stuff. My diet was not perfect, but it did the job. Next was my recovery. You know, as you saw in my workout split, I had 2 whole days of recovery, 2 days away from the gym where I prioritized recovery. I mostly slept, you know, just chilled. It was my first time following a split that had, you know, chest and back on the same day. So those 2 rest days were very, very essential, and made sure, you know, I didn't burn out. Lastly was my supplements. Now, I'm not a fan of the idea of needing supplements to build muscle. However, for this bulk, I needed a supplement that I highly recommend to you guys, and that is creatine. I did my research. I'm not saying go and just, you know, blindly buy creatine. I'm saying, you know, go do your research. Personally, it helped me feel stronger during my lifts. You know, I had a problem of getting tired like 1 hour into my workouts, especially when I'm training like legs and stuff like that. So I feel like creatine really helped me. And the way it makes your muscles look full, and you know, it keeps water inside your muscles, making them pop out and look fuller. I suggest you do your full research though before, you know, trying to hop on creatine. So over the next 3 months, I locked in, you know, my diet, training, recovery and supplements, and at the end of the 90 days I was able to surpass initial goal of 90 kgs. I remember I said I wanted to hit 90 kgs. I ended up hitting 92 kgs. The muscles I had focused on, like my shoulders, chest and my arms, blew up. As you can see, you know, in the background, I was really looking really good. I didn't gain as much fat as I thought. You know, I did have like a belly, but you know, I knew once I go back to my normal diet, you know, the belly would like somehow disappear and stuff like that. And I've never really cared for having abs and stuff like that. You know, I just wanted to get jacked. Overall, the bulk, you know, the transformation, the challenge was completely worth it, and I succeeded in gaining as much muscle as I could in 3 months. My Instagram is in the description if you have any specific questions as regards to my diet, my training, anything like that. So hit me up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.